Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are joined by probably one of the coolest guys I've had a chance to talk to. His Monday morning racer, Mr. Lee Kraft. Thank you so much for joining us. We have an interesting topic today, which for me and a bunch of my race friends, we were talking, and it seems like the NHRA is losing some viewers, and I know you have a whole lot of information for us. So thank you for joining the show, and go ahead and let people know where they can find you.
Sure, man. Yeah, Eric, look, it's great to be on, and definitely feels a little weird to not be behind the controls, but let someone else handle the StreamYard controls. But I know you'll do a fine job. So, yeah, they can find me Monday Morning Racer on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. On the Facebook side of things, you're going to see a Facebook page that shares a cornucopia of motorsports information from MotoGP, F1, NHRA to NASCAR. If I find it out there on Facebook and I find it worthy of sharing on the web, it will be there on the Facebook page. Twitter, very similar. Instagram, heavily involved there with the drag racing and pictures from drag racing. I do some amateur photography. I don't count myself as a professional photographer quite yet, but YouTube, videos such as the in-review videos on national NHRA events and also full races on the YouTube channel. Not just drag racing, but also the local dirt track or asphalt track, if I can find it. And more than NHRA. Sometimes it might be a Southeast Gassers event. It may be local bracket racing, maybe no prep style of racing. If it's racing, I'll try to go cover it. But I definitely have found a niche in NHRA national pro-level drag racing on the scene and have, as I shared once a couple of weeks ago with another YouTuber, I've kind of become the defunct NHRA YouTuber. There's a lot of NASCAR YouTubers, but I'm like the guy right now. And I hope some others come along like yourself and others are interested in it. And there needs to be more content for NHRA out there because I think people want to view the content. They just need to view it in different ways.
I agree 100%. And that was one other thing that I've run into, and my wife and I last year were trying to watch every single race, trying to get every possible thing that we could get for NHRA. We would set it to record because, life happens. So we would watch it as soon as we could. There were times where NHRA, it would say NHRA, you click it, it's a baseball game. You'd click it, it's halfway through, and then bam, it's gone. So yeah, I agree. It's there needs to be more on YouTube. YouTube, and part of the premise for why I created this, live stream today was because YouTube has taken a little chunk of NHRA because it's not so prominent all over NHRA, on YouTube. That's why when I found you and saw, wow, NHRA, I got to go look at that,
Yeah. There's not that big of a footprint. Right now, NASCAR, there are so many NASCAR YouTube channels, which, granted, I love NASCAR. I'm a NASCAR fan, but NASCAR has done a better job than drag racing and many other motorsports of marketing themselves and growing their particular form of motorsport, and therefore they have this wild fan base. So the NHRA has got to do better about, I really feel like, opening the media outlets and allowing more people to come in and experience NHRA drag racing to get the professional level of drag racing out there to the world and on YouTube and other platforms. I feel like that the NHRA is way behind the times concerning its social media presence. Now, granted, they have one social media person right now after the pay cuts and the laying off of people. There's one. But that office really needs to be 10 people. There needs to be someone running the Facebook. There needs to be someone running the Twitter. There needs to be someone running the Instagram account. There needs to be someone running YouTube and, 2 to 3 film and videographers and photographers around that alone. And when you look at what the other motorsports are doing, I think the ones that are doing the best job on YouTube, you have to look at F1 and you have to look at NASCAR, especially NASCAR right now. I love what NASCAR is doing with their YouTube. So after the race on Sunday, if it's raced on Sunday, 2 days or so after, you will find the full race on YouTube to watch.
Yeah.
without commercials. But mind you, the commercials haven't been edited. They just go to a camera on a car and give you the live feed of the radio during the pit stops, if that happens, or under caution. That's just smart.
Yeah.
That's just so smart. That gives you another avenue to go back and watch the race and get a different feel of something you might have watched on the live broadcast. Also, during the live broadcast, I don't know if they're doing it every race, but most time they pick one driver or two, and they will have the camera feed from that driver of all the different in-cars and the radio. So if you want to watch the race from Chase Elliott's onboard cameras and hear his radio, you can do that. And it's funny what you can catch. One time they had it on Jimmy Johnson's car, and Jimmy Johnson was upset at Clint Boyer. Clint Boyer wasn't giving room, and Jimmy just completely flipped off. Just held the bird up there all the way through 3 and 4, and at Clint. And you didn't see that at all on the main broadcast, but you were able to see it through the avenue of YouTube. So the NHRA right now isn't even putting out its NHRA in 30 anymore.
No,
they've gone completely towards the NHRA.TV side, which I don't think is something they should have done in the first place. If there's any motorsports that is going to have a streaming platform, it would be NASCAR or F1 with its fan base, and they're not doing it. So why are you going to do it, NHRA? Yeah. So they need to really emphasize their YouTube. They really do, because frankly, I'm one dude, and I put more content out than the NHRA does.
Oh, for sure. And actually, we have Narcoleptics Customs. He said, I vote for Monday Morning Racer as a consultant for NHRA. And I said, I second that, sir. And Narcs will be joining us here after a little while, but I second the motion. The conversation I was having with a friend of mine right before we got on here, most of the people that are NHRA fans have come from their dad, their grandpa, their uncle. The person they looked up to took them to a race, or talked about it all the time, or was a big fan themselves. And I'm afraid that, as you're saying, in this new, social media world, we're going to lose some of the younger crowd that won't even know what this is, unless we get people like us or you. I mean, you are doing so great at it, but I do a video whenever I can make it out there. But I'm telling you, we need to have more of that presence to keep them going and make it where we can see the best racers on the planet for drag racing. And, it's one thing to watch people who have their own car in the streets doing stuff, but it's another thing when you see a team of people who have a ton of money sunk into a car that can do things that it rivals the rockets that head up to the moon. You know what I mean? And they don't get to see it.
Right. I think it is the most impressive. Maybe not depending on who you are, maybe not the most entertaining, because look, I love super bikes. I mean, what a human does on a bike just blows my mind.
Isle of Man is ridiculous.
Oh, gosh. Like they had their best year in like 70 years because they didn't have it and no one died. I mean, that's the only reason no one died. Yes, that's how extreme it is. I mean, you take that event and you're like, oh, we only had 2 die this year. That's pretty good. I mean, it's wild. And look, and those guys aren't racing for big money either. It's wild. It's just the prestige of it. It's insane. But when you look at nitromethane drag racing, I think it might be the most impressive because of the sound, the sights, the acceleration. And, oh, my Lord, if they just let them qualify or race at night, you don't need fireworks. It is a natural fireworks display with what the cars are producing. Yeah, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. It certainly is. So the NHRA has got to do a better job of exposing that and using that to their advantage. I also feel they're doing a terrible job of connecting the viewer with the driver, with the people that are surrounding those cars, because I firmly believe that we're going to make connections with people and not the car.
Yes.
Why have you seen Stevie Fast Jackson grow in popularity? Because he connects with people. He's energetic. That's why. Why are young girls gravitating towards NHRA drag racing? Because they can connect with the females that are in the sport. So people connect with people. They don't connect with a car. They may like a car. They may love a car. That car is cool, but people connect with people. And the NHRA has got to do a better job of exposing the people. So I'm not the biggest fan of street outlaws.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's fine. It's out there. It's cool. I mean, I love all types of drag racing. But what they have done is they've been able to create and connect people to personas and give an opportunity. And you have people who you love and you have people who you hate. And I don't know if anybody watches pro wrestling, but they
I used to, yeah.
Yeah, I used to as well. I mean, I look like Macho Man that retired and got fat, but you know, yeah, right. So when you look at pro wrestling, it only works when you have the baby face and you have the heel. You've got to have people wearing the black hat out there. And right now, I think we've got too much of a polished persona within, well, motorsports period, but especially drag racing. Everybody gets out at the top end and they're like, oh, it's a great race and we won. We're so sorry we won, but we won. We're glad we're going on to the next round. When they need to be getting out like, well, I can't stand that guy. He deep staged on me. I don't want to talk to him. Matter of fact, if our pit crews get next to each other, we might throw down. I need to get out of here. We need to turn this car around.
The closest thing they have in my eyes right now is Steve Torrance.
Right.
He's the only guy who gets out and will fly off the handle a little bit or say something that's kind of off the cuff. They need more of a storyline to get people's attentions. I mean, if anything, like you said, to get them more interested in the people who are doing the racing. And there needs to be some bad blood. And I know there is actually, but they don't let it out. They don't talk about it. There needs to be a storyline so that when you are rooting for Steve Torrance and he's going up against somebody you don't like, I mean, you're glued on that race. You are ready to go. So I agree that there needs to be a lot of stuff changing on that. It's always going to draw a crowd because of what it is. But for it to step into the 21st century or whatever we're going to now, I mean, we'll see what happens next year. But to live in today's world, they're going to have to do some changes, man. And that was, once again, why I wanted to have this show and have you on is, I mean, we all have the ideas. We can see it as guys who pay the ticket to go see the race, which is a whole nother thing. Sometimes them ticket prices are getting a little bit crazy. I mean, I can go to an event like Yellow Bullet or No Mercy or some of these other events, FL2K, which isn't quite as big, but just some of these other race events for $35. They have a deal where you could watch Yellow Bullet all 4 days, $35. I mean, back in the 60s and 70s when all this stuff was really, really hopping, you weren't paying $80 for a ticket.
Right.
You know? And I understand right now that the amount of money that they have to put up every single race to make the cars go down the track is ridiculous. And which brings me into some of my notes I wrote down. So some information I got from Dragazine, I was looking at it and it shows that Pomona, when they raced, NHRA raced in Pomona, the purse was $50K. And then they moved to Gainesville and it was 35. And then they moved to Texas and it was 15. And you have, I guess one of the last races, they only had 11 people show up. They didn't even have a full field. So they're crippling some of these race teams that they're not going to have the money. They're not going to lose money to go to the race. I mean, have you seen some of that yourself? Or I know you've talked to quite a few of the racers. Have you seen anybody with, possible issues with some of the stuff going on? I mean, I understand we are in a crazy year, but, money, you still got to have the money to make the stuff happen. You got to have crew. You got to have, fuel, everything.
Yes, it's challenging right now to run NHRA professional level, especially nitro drag racing. Granted, it hasn't just been this year. It's been a challenge for many years now. But this year, really, I think it didn't bring everything to a head. We say, oh, it brought it to a head. No, it burst the bubble.
Yeah.
And really allowed it to ooze and seep out and how putrid it really is at the top ranks. So a couple of ways to look at this. Cruz Petragon has a great video on his social media when the purse notification came out about the purse being cut. And he said, look, guys, everybody wants to harp on the NHRA. Everybody wants to bash them. But we haven't been racing for the purse for a very, very long time. What it takes to run these cars the purse isn't helping that much. It might offset travel, lodging, fuels to that degree, but you're not going out there and going to compete at a high level, win rounds, win drag races, and be concerned about the purse. You've got a sponsor, you've got a brand that is marketing with you. Hitting of the purse might not have been that big of a deal, okay? But if you lose your sponsor, like Terry McMillan with Emily Oil, who's been impacted by this virus, they stopped a 19-year deal with Terry McMillan. And that announcement wasn't just Terry McMillan. It was Emily is stepping away from all motorsports. There's an Emily sprint car out there. There's the Emily Top Fuel Dragster. You have Emily, in many other forms of motorsports. I think they have a dirt late model as well. So that you won't see next year. Will they come back? I don't know. I mean, when you really pound for pound, dollar for dollar, look at putting your name on a car, it doesn't make much sense today, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, you have Cruz's scenario, like he's got Snap-on, or you're looking at Antron Brown with Matco, or Global, whoever else. Some of these big sponsors, they're not worried about the purse that much. I think it says far worse on the sport as a whole that you have professional drag racers. I mean, professionals, and not just professionals. We're not talking about professionals in Australia. Yes, they're professionals there. We're not talking about professionals in Great Britain and Europe. Yes, they're professionals there. We're talking about the cream of the crop, because it is National Hot Rod Association in the States, red-blooded American, leading the way, USA, baby, nitromethane drag racing, and they're racing for $15K.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, it's not good at all.
No. So it doesn't look good for the sport. And you have people saying, well, NASCAR races, like their loser can make $200,000. I mean, like 43rd can get $200,000. They can start it, park it, and make money. Well, in drag racing, you can do that too, or it may be better to say you could do it. So I work as the PR rep for Leverage Racing. Leverage Racing is well known as the team out there that during warm-up gives the double whack in the warm-up. So, look, here's the goal, man. If I get the team $5,000 to $7,000 in sponsorship, that is huge. Like, that's a great weekend. And they will leave with making the show and having that in their pocket. They make a little bit of money. But it hurts the Leverage teams, the Creasy teams. It hurts the Milodanoviches with like Hot for Teacher. Those teams, the independent regional teams like Maroney.
Right.
The purse being cut hurts those guys the most. And we're in a time right now where the NHRA really needs to be focusing on those guys, because the people making up the rest of the field are not big teams, it's the little teams.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We actually have a question here from Narcoleptic Customs. He said, what do you think of the future of esports auto racing? I know you've seen some of that stuff coming out. I remember I was sitting at a bar one time talking to a buddy, and I'm like, what the heck is this? It looked real, but it wasn't. They showed some kid sitting in a chair, but he was racing really good, but it was kind of confusing to me. Have you noticed that or looked at that at all?
Definitely. So when I had more time, I did some sim racing myself. Love sim racing, and was a part of a sim racing league at one time. And I've even thought about doing some announcing with sim racing and being involved on that side of things. Because look, sim racing avails for you to be able to do some things within motorsports that you probably would not be able to do elsewhere, whether it's doing the announcing, the editing, or the driving side of things. With sim racing, if you're doing like announcing and you get connected with a league, well, you can announce at Spa, Frankenchamps, and yet you probably will never get that opportunity because you can't speak German. I mean, I don't know, but you're able to do that, and you can have a Southern accent and be like, "They're coming through on Lund Rouge, not now." I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can do that. But yes, sim racing became obviously very popular this year. because of COVID. And NASCAR, I applaud NASCAR. Again, they're just leading the way on some of these things. I know people, have got a bad rep with NASCAR right now on a few things, but yet you got to take and look at what they did and go, they were smart. They said, okay, we're going to be down for 2 or 3 months. We can go racing because we got the iRacing platform. We can have our stars still drive their cars, introduce some new people, and we can do a broadcast. And we can just have fun. But we're putting something out on TV, and we're competing still, and we're able to give our viewers, our fans, and our sponsors a platform. And we're not just sitting, dead in the water. So I think it was a great move by NASCAR. I think it has obviously made it bigger and put more of a spotlight on it, though it was big before. Last year, I think in the NASCAR Peak Sim Racing League on iRacing, the premier sim racing league, as I mentioned, they have a title sponsor, Peak Oil and antifreeze. They were racing for $10,000, I believe it was the championship purse, or if not even more. I can't remember. And then there were some races that had qualifier after qualifier after qualifier race to make it into the big race, and the big race was well over $10,000 to win, and it's a sim race. Right. So there is definitely a platform for it, except in drag racing.
Well, that's the thing I was wondering, because I've done tons of research to find drag racing games. And part of it was because the little car behind me here, just going out to be competitive, not that I'm in anything. I'm not doing bracket racing. I'm not doing nothing. But if I have a chance to run somebody and I get them off the line, there's no better feeling to me. Even if I have a slower car, if I gap you off the line, good luck catching me towards the top end. So I found some of the things that I could use for, getting my reaction time done. There's in-depth computer games. Now they're old, that you actually could build your motor. You actually could set up the suspension. You could do, tire pressure, every aspect of it. And boy, they're missing out on something I think a lot of people would love to get into. I'll tell you right now, I'd be first in line.
Yeah, so there are some individuals pushing forward. Ron Capps is big into sim racing. Cruz Petragon, as I mentioned, is big into sim racing. Matt Smith from the pro stock motorcycle world has been big into sim racing. So you've got some of the guys that have contacts with iRacing, and they're working on it from what I understand. How feverishly, I don't know, because I really think they need the backing from NHRA to get it done. They've got some backing from NASCAR. They've got some backing from other race leagues like IMSA, which technically is NASCAR. That's a whole other discussion, though. But, you've got backing from the real deal to do it in the sim world. And the NHRA hasn't done that since, NHRA Drag Racing 2 on PlayStation 2. And IHRA had a game. The IHRA had a game.
I know. That was one of the ones I played.
Wow, yeah. So all we've got right now is there is a door slammer game on the phone, but I don't like stuff on the phone. I'm a gamer, and I want to be on a console, or I want to be on a PC when I play my games. And I like things from all the way from racing, and it's got to be real. It's got to be sim racing. I'm not an arcade dude. Yeah, I don't like the phone. To strategy games such as Rome Total War or Civil War Generals. So it's got to be in depth and provide some type of simulation for me to enjoy it. So right now, there's nothing on for drag racing except in the iRacing world, there is a league that will continually race at Sonoma, Sears Point, Infineon. So the track map for the regular road course, you can actually access the drag strip. So they'll go and kind of, without a tree, line everything up and, do a 1, 2, 3, and they're racing in old Formula One cars. And they'll drag race that way. Yeah.
That's cool. That shows you there's people who are interested in it. They just
Bingo.
There needs to be an avenue. There definitely needs to be an avenue.
Yes, I completely agree. The thing that I'm hearing, I was informed from Caleb Cox, the general manager of Cruz Petragon Racing. We had this discussion. What they're having a challenging time with is actually simulating the engaging of the clutch halfway down the track. They're not really sure how to do that.
yeah, to simulate it actually kicking in and blowing the tires, or coming through smooth, or I can see how that would be from a simulation standpoint. But still, nowadays there's some good computer dudes out there that know how to make stuff happen.
Again, I think it goes back to you need the NHRA backing it.
Yes, for sure. So I wanted to get your opinion on non-NHRA, whether it's the no prep scene, whether it's like I was mentioning, some of these no mercy, lights out, yellow bullet. What's your opinion on that? Possibly taking some of that market share of the NHRA due to their lack of social media presence and kind of them losing touch with the newer crowds. So, what's your opinion on that?
Well, let me say this. We're got to reverse it, no, hang on. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, there it is. PDRA, Professional Drag Racers Association. So look, I love all different platforms of drag racing, and I personally think the pie is big enough for everybody to have a slice.
Oh, it is.
The problem is, go back to what the NHRA is not doing, it's the social media presence. Mm-hmm. The PDRA, for example, they do not have a YouTube channel, but what they are smart in doing is they let a hack like me come in and film the entire race and go in the pits and interview their drivers. You can go right now onto my YouTube channel, Monday Morning Racer, and you can see, uploaded it last night, the World Finals event from Virginia Motorsports Park, round by round action of Pro Boost, Pro Nitrous, and Extreme Pro Stock. I'm interviewing drivers. I'm interviewing people in the midway. I can freely go do that. Whereas when I'm at the NHRA, I'm kind of like ducking in between pits and, trying to avoid gray shirts of NHRA officials. Because I really don't know if they like what I'm doing or not. But yet I'm there, and they haven't figured out what to do with me yet. So I'm just doing my thing. But I think the other forms of drag racing, one, people shouldn't diss on them. Look, accept them, embrace them. I'm not the biggest Street Outlaw fan, but it also has generated the reality that drag racing isn't dead. Yeah. It's just that people haven't been doing a good job of marketing drag racing, bringing people to the track, having, as it were, an evangelistic approach to the world of drag racing. You have Discovery Channel, they get out there, they connect some people, personas, some storylines, and they get the news out there. And then when they go to the tracks, the track version of Street Outlaw, they are actually racing. It's not rigged. It is real racing. TV's involved, but now when they do the on the street stuff, I've heard that that's different. But then you can go watch someone like 1320 and you can see the real cash days and what it's like.
Oh yeah.
So, I think the platform is big enough for all these types of drag racing to coexist, and not even just coexist. I would love to see like the World Series of Drag Racing, which is an actual drag racing event. It would be great to see it encompass everything somehow. I don't know how that would come about, but encompass Nitro and encompass Altereds and encompass Mountain Motor Pro Stock and 500 cubic inches, and it all come together. Like, I love what Wes Buck did with the World Door Slammer Nationals in Orlando. That was great. The NHRA Pro Mod guys and the NHRA Pro Stocker guys got to race for some big money like they should be racing for. Yeah. And I hope it grows. I hope Mountain Motor is included next year. And I want to see Mountain Motor, the winner of Mountain Motor, face off against the winner of the 500 cubic inch in a one-round, sudden death matchup with a 3/10, offset tree on a pro tree, and see, who's the top of pro stock. Is it Mountain Motor or is it 500 cubic inch?
That would actually help pro stock, I believe. It would help bring them back a little bit, even though their cars need a little work. But yeah, I agree that would help bring them back. I did get a super chat from Narcoleptic saying, "Great live, man, great guest. Everybody is loving you in the comments. They are just they're loving it. So great job, man."
Well, look, thank you for letting me be on. Love talking about drag racing, and hope I'm passionate about it. I want to see it do well, and again, I think there is room for all of these events. I think there's room for more events, honestly.
Oh, there is.
It's just it happening, getting out there, people connecting, And, drag racing's got to be smarter. It's time for drag racing to move forward. Drag racing, especially the NHRA, for a long time has been the redheaded stepchild of motorsports. And whatever NASCAR did, like drag racing tries to do it later, and yet they're 3 steps behind. So
agreed.
Look, with Camping World coming on board, I hope we have an all-star race come back to drag racing. We haven't done that in decades. It used to be under the Winston platform that the top 8 in points next year raced for a big purse, $1 million spread out over the 4 classes. We need that again. I propose, so right now, Bristol is not on the schedule for the 2021 NHRA Camping World Tour. They're saying that Bristol will be added. Look, I hope that they're waiting out just a little bit to add Bristol as a special event and let it be an all-star race. And let's do Funny Car versus Top Fuel, $1 million. Let's do it.
Oh, that would be – I'm in for that, and I'm sure everybody would be in for that. We had a comment here that says NHRA needs to bring back the pro stock trucks. What's your thought on that?
Oh, wow. I think they do. And that's something I feel NASCAR starts the Craftsman Truck Series. Okay. Shortly after, NHRA starts Pro Stock Truck. The Truck Series for NASCAR has really taken off and become another platform for marketers and sponsors and businesses to be involved in. It has become an arena for the NHRA to develop, the NASCAR for them to develop drivers. It is successful, arguably puts on some of the best racing week in and week out of the NASCAR platform, period. I would honestly watch a truck race over a cup race almost any day.
Yeah.
When you look at NHRA and the truck days, and I remember going to the Southern Nationals and looking forward to watching the trucks run. And I'm going to tell you what, in the South, man, the trucks were popular. I don't know about everywhere else, and it seems like they were popular everywhere else, but, man, they were popular back in the Southern National days. And I think they missed the boat. They should have figured out some way, whether it was transforming it to a diesel class, and I'm just throwing that out. I'm not saying that is what they needed to do, but maybe that was an option. But I think they missed the boat because right now, the number 1 selling vehicles in America are what? Trucks and SUVs.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, I think there should be a truck class today. Now, are you ever going to see it again? I doubt it, because there's actual legal issues around it. And, there's rumors that's why nothing else gets titled pro to it. That's why Pro Mod is actually not a part of the Camping World Tour. It's its own tour within the NHRA umbrella because there's legal issues with the class of the pro stock trucks. But, yeah, I think the NHRA missed a boat of being able to connect with Americans, with the consumer, back to the OEMs. And look, that's got to happen in drag racing. And that's the thrust about that, pro stock video that I did that you mentioned earlier is pro stock. I think for it to ultimately survive and to move forward, the OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, the automakers, they need to be able to look at that class and say, you know what, there's value here for us to put our car in competition so people see it at a high performance level, and you win on Sunday, sell on Monday. So, why is Toyota in Top Fuel? Why are they in Nitro, but they're not in the other classes? They literally use nitromethane drag racing as a laboratory. They're pushing parts and seeing what it does. And that actually is translated back in to their on-the-road divisions. So that's why. Well, why can't you do that in pro stock? Why? Because, Toyota doesn't have a V8 block that they're putting in a car that's 500 cubic inches. Matter of fact, there's nobody doing that except in the high-performance, new wave of revival of muscle cars. But most part, not everybody's got a Charger or Challenger sitting in their garage. They've got a little Dart, or they've got some other type of car. Ford, their whole thrust has been the EcoBoost here lately, the turbocharged EcoBoost V6. They even have ran that in their sports car division. Well, why not see a pro stock like that? That reflects what they're doing.
Exactly. So I got another super chat here, one from Dan IT Guy, who I believe joined your last live stream.
Yes.
Monday Morning Racer has a fantastic amount of knowledge. Damn.
Well, I appreciate that. And I finally, all those years of watching over and over and over again the VHS of Diamond P in 1986 and 1987 and 1988 and 1989, they're finally paying off. I mean, I thought it was since college, but it's finally paying off. I mean, what a great era in drag racing right then. And there's things that were happening then that I think could be implemented very simply, and you have drag racing kind of come back alive. Let me give you an example. Gator Nationals. All right, so it gets postponed. We go back, here September. Feels a little different, but nonetheless a good crowd. A good crowd came in, and here I am. I'm helping the Leverage team out with the PR stuff. We fire up the car and give those two, double throttle whacks, and the crowd. Man, there's nothing like the throttle whack from a nitromethane burning car, and you're in the pit. I mean, just nothing like it. I love it. I do too. I was that kid that was a nitro junkie, going to pit to pit to pit to pit for the warm ups. Because when I was a kid, they still did the throttle whacks. Everybody did. It was part of the tune up. Okay, so Gator Nationals, Leverage does their thing. I know that Alexis is giving the whack out. So you hear her later on, she gives the whack. So I know Mike Smith, who is the son of Paul Smith, won the Gator Nationals. Paul Smith, great driver, tuner out there. And they've got both the funny cars out with Bodie Smith, who's married to Rhonda Hartman. So they got that funny car out there, and they got the Paul Richards funny car out there, and they tune on both of them. And the wily old veteran, I tell you what, he's got a deep bag of tricks because he double whacked on both those cars. There was more whack given at the Gator Nationals than there has been in 20 years. Give me the whack. Yeah. And look, you can advertise that. And matter of fact, the NHRA even sees the value of it, because the NHRA social media person, her name's Nikki, she will come and film the Leverage warm-up, and later on it's shared on Warm-Up Wednesday. So they see the value of it, and that's not the NHRA's fault. Look, a lot of folks will say, oh, NHRA, can't you see we love the whack? Give the whack back. Well, the NHRA never took it away. The issue is that the tuners stopped doing it. So this is what happened. Somebody stopped doing it, and they got hot. They got successful. And everybody else is like, well, you know what? They're not doing the whack. Maybe we shouldn't do the whack, and then we'll win too. And then people start following that, and they win too. And then someone else finally starts whacking again, and they're like, see, it's not that big of a deal. Everybody enjoys it. So what needs to happen is the NHRA needs to go to nitro pit and be, guys, please whack the throttle. Because why? Fans love it.
Oh, yeah. One of my favorite things ever going to my first NHRA event was walking through, heading to the pit, seeing this sea of people around all the drivers. I mean, I could hardly even get to see my favorite car. And the throttle whack happened, and it was like a mosh pit. Everybody jumps, woo, because it scared the crap out of everybody. They weren't ready for it. And me, I have the tuned ear where, okay, that's alcohol. There it is. And you were ready for the whack. Yeah.
Nothing like it in motorsports.
You need to make yourself a shirt. I will buy one gladly that says "Bring back the whack."
Well,
that'd be awesome.
So I truly don't have a logo with you mentioning that. So what people see right now, what would currently look like, is actually a Ferrari emblem. It's MMR Ferrari. There's been one that looked like John Force's Castro car. Those have just been little icons that I've developed. And on Facebook, as I've hit like 1,000 likes and 5,000 likes, I would change the icon, put it to a fan vote. So I've never really had a MMR logo, but it is coming out soon, and it's this. It's this. So yes, it's this. With my tongue sticking out and the shades, and hopefully bring the whack back. We might have to do something like that. Definitely.
Dude, I'm telling you, that could be your mantra right there.
Yes. So,
Sure.
and folks, check out the Leverage Racing team. They've got some neat merch with associated around the whack. They've been doing that double throttle whack for decades now, and they've kept it alive along with like the Laganas. So hey, stick with the OGs. Stick with the OGs.
Oh yeah, we have another comment here from Patrick Hattrick, and it says
that's a great handle. I like that.
It's cool. He's wanting to see a funny truck, and he's trying to. There's a couple of people having a conversation on would it be front or rear engine if they made a funny truck.
That would be interesting. So there obviously is, Jim Dunn, Big Jim Dunn, still out there today, the father of Mike Dunn. He's famed for having the rear engine funny car. He had that back in the day. It wasn't very successful to the front engine brethren. Look, the nature of a funny car, if you had a funny truck, I think the best way to look at it would go into the tractor pulling world, because they have the trucks literally raise up like a funny car for the guys to get in the modified truck division. So I think that would be the best way to go about it. And the engine is still in the front. You probably would have a little bit longer wheelbase of a car or truck, funny car. So, but I would imagine it would still tilt from the rear with the engine in the front. That would be my guess.
That makes an absolute ton of sense. Hey, Narcoleptics Customs, I know you're on here. You want to go ahead and join? I'd love to have you jump on and give Monday Morning Racer maybe a couple of your questions. Not that I'm out of them, just I knew I was going to bring you on today as a guest. I'd love to have you come on in and talk to us, see what you got.
By the way, folks, the red Solo Cup is nothing but water.
My cup is not. No. I get, as we had talked prior to going live, it is a little nerve-wracking jumping on some of these live ones. I get really excited. I love seeing, there's comments from a guy named the Flash Dunkel Racing, and it's a Chevelle, looks like a SS in his little picture there. But there's just people like that, real race people who love cars, love power, love, there's nothing better than hitting the gas and having the tires just light up on fire. So everybody who loves racing, loves, the sport, and can identify with what you do, what I do. I know Narcoleptics himself he's got a turbo LS truck that he's went out and was racing with. There's just, it is a family, as I've seen you say on your broadcast many times, and there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it.
Yeah, it's a great community. I think most people in the racing community are very genuine. They are passionate. They are, for the most part, I think you can connect with people easily. Just like any community, there's a few bad apples, and I've encountered some of those bad apples. But for the most part, you can get along with folks, and it's a passionate group, a very passionate group. I mean, a little bit of my story, I was willing to sleep in my car and drive all night to make national events.
Oh, yeah?
See the races, to get to talk to these drivers and try to make this thing happen. So, yeah, you can't deny I'm passionate about it. And, I'll be waking up early in the morning Friday, for a 6 a.m. flight to get out to Las Vegas for, this last race of the year. And then right after that, I've got a Southeast Gassers race I'm going to try to attend. And then I think I might get a break, and then that break will be the first break for, I think, the last 10 races in a row on every weekend.
Wow.
So, definitely passionate about it and love motorsports. I recognize you got to take a break every now and then, just kind of chill, and recuperate. But
collect your thoughts.
I want to be in the shops, filming the shops. I want to be talking to the drivers, talking to the people who are in the deal, and seeing what's going on in motorsports, and hopefully I can use influence as a influencer and
that's what we are.
help move the sport forward, because there are some elements in drag racing in particular, that I just feel like it's archaic. They're still in the caveman days of motorsports.
There's a lot of facets of it that are. And let's see, Patrick Hattrick says drag racing is the most fan-friendly sport there is, and I agree with him 100%. And even the fans get along with each other for the most part. I mean, doesn't matter who you like, or if you're a Ford guy, Chevy guy, Mopar, whatever it is, you love racing. You love, the Ford goes and beats the Dodge or the whatever. You're like, ha ha. But it's all fun and games. I mean, Everybody be more than willing to give you the shirt off their back for the most part. As you said, there's always some bad apples everywhere, but I seriously do appreciate everybody who's in the motorsports world.
And drag racing is so fan friendly. I mean, honestly, one reason going the drag racing route with my YouTube channel and really having a focus on it and a niche towards it, though I'm open to so many other motorsports, and really 2020 and the year that it is put a damper on that.
Yeah. Bad.
Anyway, the nature of NHRA drag racing and most all drag racing, that every ticket is a pit pass. I was like, well, I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm going to take my camera. I'm going to take my tripod. I'm going to ask drivers for interviews because I have access to them.
Yeah.
I don't have to have a hot pass. I don't have to have, other credentials. I can use the pit pass to my advantage. And that's where I started. And yes, it is fan friendly. I think the only other motorsport that comes close, and I haven't experienced it yet, but from what I understand, sports car racing is just about as open as drag racing. You can go in the paddock and you can get the pits and have interaction right there where the cars are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's hard to find that. And as guys that's exactly why this channel exists. Well, the reason it exists is my kids were watching YouTube, and I said, I could do that. They go, no, you couldn't. Well, I'm sitting here today. The only thing I really know that I could, have an impact on or whatever would be racing in cars. And so, that's the same thing. I grabbed my camera, I went out to races and just started filming stuff, talking to people and, trying to get my name out there so I can have people like you. I mean, that's huge to be able to have someone like you on my little YouTube program, just a guy with a camera who loves racing. And I think between people like myself and you, we can help spread the word and help, as you're saying, influence the future of where this sport heads, if anything, from a social media aspect, because they are in the weeds right now. They're broke. They got rust on them. There's no motor in it. Trans is ripped out. They got nothing.
Right. Yeah. If you listen to Wes Buck at all, he's really, I think, the leading commentary voice in drag racing right now, honestly. Wealth of knowledge, no matter what the range of drag racing is, especially on the business side of things. He is often saying that we need more conversations on drag racing. We need more of what's happening right now. So kudos to you, man, facilitating a talk and conversation on drag racing. And look, I was right there where you were at. Small channel. My channel's still small. I mean, it's not big. No, don't. I'm not 100,000 subscribers or anything.
Well, that takes a long time.
It does. It takes a lot longer than you think. And there are some individuals, they've been able to have the algorithm just seem like they pick up something and it moves with it, and you're kind of like, what?
Yeah. How did you get there? Yeah.
How did that happen? But nonetheless, I really think if the content creators are willing to work together, like what we're doing tonight,
exactly,
the sport can move forward. The sport can see the value of what is going on, and it can facilitate some momentum that, as we all know, a moving object is easier to move than one standing still. If we can get the ball rolling, get the energy moving, things can be directed in a different way. I hope, honestly, this weekend, I'm going to send an email out to the press individual with the NHRA.
Mm-hmm.
I've never contacted before. I got her contact information from Amanda Busick, which, by the way, Amanda, she is a great young lady. She would probably be willing to come on. So if you're ever interested in having Amanda Busick, she's willing to do those things. So, and she's one of those down to earth, will kind of talk to anybody kind of gal. And yeah, she gave me the contact information for the press lady with NHRA. And what I hope to do is I want to interview someone with the NHRA Safety Safari. They never talk to those guys. They never talk to them.
Unsung heroes.
I know. And I want to ask basically, so we've heard Alexa's side of this big bad fire she had that looked like something out of the 70s or the 80s. What is your side of a big bad fire like that hasn't happened in decades? You know it can happen, but you haven't experienced that, unlike the dude that was in the 1980s, like, oh, funny car's running. Get ready, boys. We're going to have a fire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They had him on fire all the time.
Every time. I mean, yeah.
I mean, could you imagine getting the guy who was the first one to walk up to Leah Pritchett after her thing went through the air sideways in half across the finish line? That finish line cam shot sent chills down my spine, honestly, because I've talked to her. She's absolutely amazing, down to earth, real person.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I cannot imagine, you've got a job to do, and that job is to secure the track, inspect the track, make sure the driver is all right. But these people, they all know each other. Okay.
Yeah.
And especially the Safety Safari, it's a traveling group. It's not a base of just volunteers from the track. It's a traveling safety group. And they know the drivers. They interact with them. They help button off some gear every now and then, things like that. So, incident like that, they've got a job to do, but they're like, oh, hey, man, I hope Leah's okay. And it was great to see her pop out. And, Leah's a real person. She's not a robotic, polished persona. I actually asked her for an interview one time, and I give her a pass on this. I give her a pass, and it just shows you that she's real, she's human, and it means a lot to her. It was Indianapolis 2019. She went out first round in Top Fuel. She went out first round in factory stock. Later on that day, I asked her for an interview, and she was like, well, I don't think you're going to want this interview. I'm not in a good mood. It won't be what you want, so I'm going to have to say no. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Even though I want that interview.
Well, yeah. You want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly.
My camera is not an NHRA camera. Right. Whatever the driver wants to say it. I want them to say that. The Monday Morning Racer camera is a no frills, all thrills zone. Say whatever you want to say. If the track is junk, say the track is junk. If the track is great, say it's great. If the NHRA sucks, say it. If the NHRA is the greatest thing ever, say it. I don't care. Say whatever you want to say.
Agreed. So, hey, I got about 7 minutes left here. Can you do me a favor and let everyone know once again where they can find your awesome channel, your great content? And I got to say, dude, I've had so much fun during this. I would love to either come on your show or have you back on this show again. We could talk for days, man. This is so cool, and I appreciate it. Go ahead and let everybody know where to find you.
Definitely, man. It's been a lot of fun. We'll have you on the show Between the Slicks, mentioning that Thursday nights, 8 p.m., I have my own live show called Between the Slicks, and we talk everything drag racing from NHRA, PDRA, ADRL, Sega with Southeast Gassers. If it's drag racing, I'm willing to talk about it, from the cars, the stars, and even the sponsors. For example, last week we had Justin Ashley on with his sponsor Guard Lab, and we talked about the science of wearing a mouth guard in drag racing and how that can help. I love those types of stories. Honestly, the stories that really aren't getting out there, that's what I hope to provide. Where am I providing it? Well, right here on YouTube, Monday Morning Racer, on Twitter, Monday Morning Racer, on Instagram, Monday Morning Racer, and Facebook, Monday Morning Racer. Very simple, Monday Morning Racer, MMR. And on Facebook, you'll see all different types of motorsports with a particular niche in drag racing. The Instagram account, you're going to see a lot of photos from the pits, the crew guys, drag racing, the cars, the stars. And Twitter, well, I haven't quite figured that out. Give me a follow. I think I need to be more controversial and mean to get Twitter to work well for me. But I'm out there on the Twitterverse as well. And yes, please subscribe there on YouTube. Hit the like button. Hit the like button on this video. Hey, look, man, this is going to grow. This is going to blow up, and people are going to know you regionally. And I've seen your channel before, looked at your content. And hopefully we all are able to grow together, and there's more drag racing NHRA YouTubers out there, because it is a void field right now. And I don't want to be the only guy. I want to work with other people. I want to be the guy that when I show up to Las Vegas, when I show up to Phoenix, I can say to Eric, come on back behind the rope. We'll connect you with this team. Stay with this team this weekend. Give them some extra exposure. I want to be that guy. I want to be that guy.
Oh, man, that would be awesome. By the way, if you ever end up out in this area, please, please, please get a hold of me. I will do anything you need. Hey, I appreciate your time. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being on here. Anybody, everybody, please go check him out. Absolutely amazing dude. Great channel, great stuff. And we look forward to the next one. Thanks for your time, man. Have yourself a great night.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
See you on the next one. Bye. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's been amazing. If you have ideas for future content that you'd like to see on this channel, please let me know below. We're going to definitely bring on some more guests. I have coming up on next Wednesday, 5 p.m., same bat time, same bat channel. I have currently, so far, I have Cody Walker. Cody Walker had the white Hellcat Challenger in my Race Week videos. He's also a country singer. He has a new single coming out. You can check his Instagram at Cody Walker Music on Instagram. He's got a new single coming out on Friday. I'm going to have him on Wednesday. We're going to talk some racing. We're going to talk about his new song coming out, his new album coming out. It's going to be a good time, so don't miss it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one.